Mavs fans, welcome into All Things Mavs. Today I'm going to break down some free agent targets for you and for the Dallas Mavericks this offseason. But before I get there, I want to see how many of my viewers are subscribed. So the best way to let me know, scroll down and type MFFL in the comment section. And if you're not subscribed, hit that big red button, and then you can type it along with everybody else. Now let's get into today's show.
All Things Mavs.
Now, the Dallas Mavericks cap situation this summer is an interesting one. They obviously have more cap space in 2021, and they're going to look to save a lot of money for that offseason when guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Rudy Gobert are both going to be free agents. Now, on the Mavs roster currently, you got Tim Hardaway Jr., who has a player option, Courtney Lee, who's going to hit the open market, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist can become a free agent, Trey Burke, who I think the Mavs are going to want to bring back now, is going to be an unrestricted free agent, and Willie Cauley-Stein has a player option as well. Now, no idea what Cauley-Stein or Tim Hardaway Jr. are going to do yet, but if they opt out, that's going to leave quite a bit of money for the Mavs to play with. Now, I'd expect the Mavs to be a little bit more involved in the trade market as opposed to the free agent market, but I want to break down some free agents that we can look at this off season. So before I give you my names, because I have got a whole big old list of names, and you'll probably hear the guy you want in this list, but tell me who you do want. So scroll on down to the comment section. Give me all your suggestions, and here's what I'm going to do. You're probably going to get hit with a little bit of an ad break here, so scroll down and make this the pinned comment, and just reply with a free agent you want the Mavs to target. Now, maybe you like Goran Dragic. Maybe you're like me and you actually wanted him last summer when the Mavs nearly traded for him, and then everything fell through. Well, Dragic is a free agent this summer, and yes, he's 34 years old, and yes, he made $19.2 million this past season, but that may mean he's looking to take a little bit of a pay cut and come to Dallas pretty cheaply and play with his Slovenian brother, Luka Doncic. Now, this year, off the bench and a little bit in the starting five every once in a while, Goran put up 16.2 points per game, dished out 5 assists, and shot over 36.7% from beyond the three-point arc. I mean, he has been incredible in the role that he's been given in Miami. And if he can come to Dallas and be a secondary playmaker, either off the bench or even alongside Luka Doncic in the starting five, that could mean a world of difference. It all just depends on the price point. Now, the Mavs do have a lot of guards. You've got Jalen Brunson. You've got potentially Trey Burke coming back. Of course, you have Luka Doncic. DeLon Wright's under contract, but he might be on the way out. Stay tuned for a video on that. So maybe Dragic is the right move. Maybe you don't want a point guard, though. Maybe you want more of a shooting guard, a guy that can make a shot but also create his own shot on the wing. Bogdan Bogdanovic is a name that has circled around Mavs Twitter for so long. And look, he's 28 years old. The Kings are probably going to let him walk as a restricted free agent because they brought in a whole new front office and they're looking to rebuild around De'Aaron Fox. He might be able to come somewhat cheaply to the Dallas Mavericks. You can look at his growth over his 3 years in the NBA. He started about 11 points per game and then jumped up to 14 to this year, career high, 15 points per game, shooting better than 37% from three. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic would be the perfect sixth man on this Dallas Mavericks team. It's a matter of money. When he's restricted, that means the Kings can match anything that comes his way. So he might be out of Dallas's price range. So let's take a look at two guards that might be more in the right price range for the Dallas Mavericks, and Justin Holiday and Malik Beasley. Now, Justin Holiday is a guy that I have talked about religiously on this show. You know, on this channel, I talk about him all the time. He's a good defensive wing. He's 30 years old. He's got the veteran experience. He's a good three-point shooter at 43%, and he still puts up 8 points per game. Now, he's unrestricted. He's coming off a one-year deal from Indiana. Then you look at Malik Beasley with the Timberwolves. He's going to be a restricted free agent. So, yes, might be a little bit more pricey, but a better athlete, a very solid defender, much like Tim Hardaway Jr., a very reliable three-point shooter as well. So that's three shooting guards you can look at in Bogdan Bogdanovic, Justin Holiday, or Malik Beasley. Whoever you like, just let me know. But I want to tell you something I like quite a bit. RedPegTees.com, the newest sponsor of the All Things Mavs channel. They're a Dallas-based company. Go help out those guys and go check them out. Also, use promo code RedPeg20 for 20% off your entire order. Whether you want to rep the GOAT, Dirk Nowitzki, or the new baby GOAT, Luka Doncic, you can get all those shirts at RedPegTees.com. If you watched all of our live streams here of every single playoff game for the Dallas Mavericks, I wore one every single game. And if you want the same one I wore on air, RedPegTees.com. Now let's go to a former Dallas Maverick. You guys all know I love him. I probably talk about him too much on this channel, and some of you even get tired of it, but a lot of you guys agree. Jay Crowder would be a perfect fit for the Mavs next season. They said right after they lost to the Clippers that, hey, we're looking to go get some tough veteran players. That is what Jay Crowder does. He will punch a dude in the mouth if that means he's going to win the game. And this past year with the Heat, he continued to step up. Between his time with the Heat and the Grizzlies, he put up 10.5 points per game, pulled down 5.9 rebounds, a very good rebounding forward, and his three-point percentage jumped up. He was around 28% with the Grizzlies and then found his way up near 39% with the Heat. Now for the year, he's averaging about 34.3%. Now, again, he's 30 years old. He made $7.8 million this past season. He could get one last payday, so maybe, again, this is a guy out of the Mavs price range, but I think a mid-level exception could make a lot of sense for Jay Crowder. You look at the guys under contract this next year for the Dallas Mavericks. Tim Hardaway Jr. potentially under contract at $18.9 million player option. And then you got Finney-Smith and Justin Jackson. Now, Dorian Finney-Smith, Rick loves to throw him at the 4 position. Justin Jackson, Mavs fans would be fine if he never saw a minute on the court. Yes, I've officially jumped off Justin Jackson Island. I'm off it forever. He does not deserve another minute on this Mavericks team. That's why I think bringing in a guy like Jay Crowder would be so perfect this summer. Let's look at another guy on the Miami Heat. Derrick Jones Jr., another guy like Goran Dragic that was nearly traded to the Mavs this past summer when that whole mess fell through, but he's a high-flying dude that can play the 3 or the 4. He's just 23. He's just coming off really his first contract in which he made $1.6 million. So I'd look for him to get somewhere near the mid-level, if not more than that. And he has seen some steady growth all throughout his career as well. Now, his role has always been a bit ill-defined. It's never really been sure if he's a 3 or if he's just a lob threat 4 or what he is, because he can't shoot that well. But he's a great defender, and he's a great athlete. Now, in Phoenix, he barely played at all. His rookie year averaged 5.3 points per game, but only played about 20 games. And then the next season, 1.5 points per game. Then the next season, 3.7. Then he jumps up to 7 and 9 points per game this past year with the Miami Heat. He's become a mainstay in that rotation. And if the Mavs can snag him for cheap, that would be a very good defensive presence and a very good athlete to add to this rotation. So I'm going to let you guys choose. I just chose 2 of the Miami Heat's wings. Which one would you rather have? Type JC for Jay Crowder, which are also my initials, so if you like me, you can also type JC, or type DJJ for Derrick Jones Jr. Personally, I think I'd rather have Jay Crowder. He's a much better shooter. He's a solid defender. He's got the veteran leadership, and he's more of that tough-minded individual that the Mavs actually need. Derrick Jones Jr. shooting about 23% from 3 for his career. It's a no-go from me. So let's talk about some veteran big men, because I didn't want to focus too much time on all these guys individually, but when you lump them all into one, any of these guys might make some sense for the Dallas Mavericks. Paul Millsap, yeah, he's 34 years old, and he's had a lengthy list of injuries this past season, but he's become a reliable three-point shooter. He can post up down low, and he can pull down rebounds, and again, a veteran that can help lead this team. Serge Ibaka, a guy who I would love on the Mavs. Much like Jay Crowder, he is tough-minded, and he will start a fight if he has to, and he will go out and protect Luka Doncic at all costs. Tristan Thompson, a great rebounder, a guy who's hitting the open market, but might be out of the Dallas Mavericks price range. And then if you want to look at a guy that could come on a veteran's minimum contract, Marc Gasol of the Toronto Raptors. He's been a great low-post defender in the playoffs. He's shown that he can continue to stretch the floor, and he's a very solid rebounder. Now, one guy that you guys have suggested to me for the longest time, and I am in 100% agreement with you, is Jerami Grant of the Denver Nuggets. Now, he had a $9 million player option, declined that for this past year, so he's looking to make upwards of $9 million. That's a lot of money to pay a guy who's really more of a lob threat, but can show that he can make the corner 3 as well. In Denver, alongside Nikola Jokic, he has been very, very solid. 12 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and shooting a little better than 38%. This guy can stretch the floor, he can catch lobs, he can come in and play either the 3 or the 4 and defend whoever you need him to defend. Plus, he's just 26 years old. Now, if Tim Hardaway Jr. opts out, this is a guy you should absolutely target. Tim Hardaway Jr. opts in, I wouldn't even waste your time because he's going to be out of your price range. He declined a $9 million player option. That means he probably wants to make upwards of $10 to $12 million. I think he's just going to be out of the way for the Dallas Mavericks, but I do agree he'd be a perfect fit. Let's talk about Christian Wood of the Detroit Pistons. A lot of people may not even really realize this guy actually played on the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team. He's been in the organization before, but he's bounced around the NBA ever since playing college ball at UNLV. And then all of a sudden this year in Detroit, started to become a dominant player. Blake Griffin gets hurt. All of a sudden, they got to turn to a new power forward. Who is it? Christian Wood. Before the All-Star break, so back when Blake Griffin was pretty healthy, he was playing about 19 minutes per game, 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, shooting better than 38% from 3. Solid, role player off the bench, right? Well, then Blake Griffin goes down. Christian Wood's getting 35 minutes per game, and he's averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds, shooting 39% from 3, and scoring the ball better than 57% from the field. Christian Wood would be amazing in Dallas. He'd be able to get his own bucket. He can stretch the floor. He's a dominant, really athletic power forward when needed, and he's tough-minded at just 24 years old. However, the Detroit Pistons, they might look to break the bank for this guy because I think they found something really special, and they're going to start to build around guys like him, Luke Kennard, Sekou Doumbouya, and whoever they look to draft in this next year's draft. Now let's talk about, I want you guys to let me know which of these two power forwards you'd rather have on the team. Type JG for Jerami Grant, type CW for Christian Wood. I think Jerami Grant probably fits the team a little bit better because he knows his role. He can come off the bench. He's a better defender than Christian Wood is. But if you're looking for a more 20-point-per-game kind of guy, that's Christian Wood. I'm going to lean Jerami Grant for now, but I think you can convince me either way. Another veteran guy, another European guy that could really be just great in Dallas is Danilo Gallinari. I've talked about him all year. Around the trade deadline, I was hoping the Mavs would potentially make a move for him, but it just didn't happen because he's making $23 million this season. Now, I don't know what he's going to command in the open market or what he's going to demand, I guess I should say, in the open market because $22 million, it's not like he's going to look to take a mid-level exception. He's a great shooter, and he becomes a secondary playmaker as well next to Luka Doncic. I think you throw him into the starting 5 right away if you can steal him away from Oklahoma City, and he starts at the power forward position next to Kristaps Porzingis. Now, does this hurt your defense? Yeah, a little bit, but does it really when you think about your alternative is just Luka Doncic and Seth Curry in there instead of Luka Doncic and Danilo Gallinari? So now it's Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Danilo Gallinari, and Kristaps Porzingis. Gallo, KP, Luka can give you 20 on any given night. Tim Hardaway Jr. is still a consistent three-point shooter. Dorian Finney-Smith has proven that he can knock down open threes as well. I love the idea of adding Gallinari to this team. Again, because he was making about $20 million this past season, he might be out of the Mavs price range. Let's talk about a guy who, listen guys, I get it. He's an enemy right now. Nobody likes to see this guy's face on the screen, but if you're being honest with yourself, a guy like Montrezl Harrell would be the perfect fit in Dallas. I mean, you talk about a guy that's going to go out, protect your best player, is going to get rebounds, do all the dirty work down low, and fits this team's timeline at just 26 years old. That is Montrezl Harrell. And if the Mavs have the money, go out and chase him because you need rebounders on this team, and you don't have them right now. KP and Luka are your leading rebounders. That's fine, but you don't really want your point guard being your second-best rebounder in Luka Doncic. And after that, it's such a steep fall-off at Dorian Finney-Smith. You go from 9.5 rebounds per game at Luka Doncic, the second best, to Dorian at 5.7 per game. And then it's Dwight Powell and Maxi Cleveland. Neither of those guys known for their toughness down low. That's what Montrezl Harrell does. Trust me, guys. I get it. I don't like the guy either. He annoys the heck out of me. But he's kind of like the bigger version of J.J. Barea. Think about it. If J.J. Barea wasn't on the Mavs, nobody would like him. But because he's on the Mavs, everybody loves him. That's what Montrezl Harrell would be. Now, do I think he'll consider Dallas? Maybe not after that tough first-round series, but I sure hope we see them chase Montrezl Harrell. Now, I've talked to the guys at Red Peg Tees, and one guy the Mavs won't be chasing is Marcus Morris. So you know what to do. Type FMM in the comments section below, and maybe the guys at Red Peg Tees will make a T-shirt for it. Go to redpegtees.com. Use that promo code RedPeg20 for 20% off your order at checkout. These guys are making awesome custom shirts. They're putting out new designs on a regular basis. They just put out a brand new Luka Doncic shirt. Go check them out, redpegtees.com. All right, let's go to the Latvian laser, Davis Bertans. I've talked about him before on this channel. I'm bringing him up again. You'll probably hear me talk about him all off-season long. He is one of the best big men shooters in the league. Now, he didn't play with the Wizards in the bubble, probably because going to be his first real free agency to where he can really make some money because he's bounced from the Spurs to the Wizards. And with the Spurs, yeah, he was all right. He was still shooting the three ball well. He's coming off the bench for Greg Popovich, but he never averaged more than 8 points per game. And then he goes to the Wizards this year. And all of a sudden, the dude's putting up 15.4 points per game while shooting better than 42% from three. Now, listen, you're not going to sign Davis Bertans to come in and get your rebounds. You're not going to sign Davis Bertans to be a low-post defender. You're not even going to sign Bertans to really be a starter. I think this guy is the perfect six-man kind of guy, a guy that can back up Porzingis, that can come in maybe behind a Dwight Powell, that can come in alongside a Maxi Kleber. The problem with Bertans, yes, he's going to cost a lot of money. That's whatever. We'll throw the money out of the way. If the Mavs want to make it work, they can make it work cap-wise. You got to have a lot of good defenders around him. So if the Mavs opt to use money on Bertans, they got to use the rest of their money on really, really solid defenders, because this guy not going to help you on the defensive end. From the three-point range, he's going to knock down everything he shoots. So I threw a lot of names out there to you. I mean, so many names. I basically might have listed off every free agent that's available right now. But which of the guys that I mentioned do you think would be the best fit in Dallas? Let me know in the comment section. If you need to rewind, that's all right. This video is on demand, and it's free 365 days a year. So check it out. Let me know who would be the best fit in Dallas.